Welcome back to Year in Review. We'll be briefly talking about some games that I did not get a chance to completely cover on the channel. This is not a review, and it's not part of my First Impressions series. With that out of the way, let's get started. Ever hear of a game called Descent? It was this game franchise in the 90s which was super innovative for the time. You had a spaceship that had a huge range of movement in a three-dimensional environment. You can move up, down, you can move back and forth, you can move at all kinds of angles, you can spin your ship around. I know, it sounds mind-blowing today, but with how few spaceship games we get now, it does leave you wanting a modern interpretation. So there was another game franchise called Aquanox. It was like Descent, but instead of space, it was underwater. Both franchises have sort of resurfaced, pun not intended, in recent years. Overload, the spiritual successor to Descent, got a Kickstarter, and Aquanox got another game in the franchise with work starting as early as 2014 based on some YouTube videos I found. Both got a Kickstarter. Overload made a lot more, but Descent got a publisher, THQ Nordic. So with like 6 years of development and a publisher, you'd expect Aquanox to blow Overload out of the water. Literally. Right? Well, no, it kind of sucks actually. There's one problem with this game. One problem. If I could just point to one, it's that it's so unbelievably repetitive. Basically, you're an underwater ship that has free range of movement like you'd expect. You can ascend, descend, boost, whatever. And you have weapons to shoot other ships with, but the variety is super limited and taking out enemies is really unsatisfying. There isn't much to ship upgrades either. You're not zipping around asteroids and taking cover from enemy laser blasts and missiles like in Everspace, another three-dimensional combat game. And you're not trying to move through these tight corridors in Overload at high speed. You're just shooting any enemy that comes in sight, slowly moving through tunnel levels, blasting enemies to bits, and repeating. The AI is pretty bad too. They don't use tactics or anything, they just charge you or shoot from a distance. They don't really use their environments to their advantage because the environments are incredibly linear and they're just void of anything interesting going on outside of the visuals. And to be honest, Aquanox Deep Descent does look the part. The game is really colorful in the way I like. Lots of deep, dark blues and greens with a brighter HUD. Undersea life, post-apocalyptic setting too. It looks good, but they could have played it up more undersea life, maybe pushing it as a sim instead of an arcadey ocean spaceship game. There's no ultra-wide support. The game doesn't look great with some of its assets at times. It does look like a generic Unreal Engine 4 game, to be honest. This game would have actually benefited a little bit more had they gone for the sim angle and even, try to look into VR or something equivalent for the eye candy. You're certainly not playing it for the gameplay, and the slower pace only helps my point here regarding VR. I mean, you're not going to vomit like you would probably when playing Overload, which also coincidentally has VR. I mean, the game is just so damn linear too. Just about every mission I've played, if not all, have you going through the same looking tunnels with just different looking scenery on the side. There's no hidey holes, there's nothing really interesting, there's no off-beaten paths that are worth going through. The game does absolutely nothing to use its environment and setting to build compelling levels. It's just boring. The story of the game tries to keep your attention, but the characters do feel a bit flat due to the mixed voice performances. It's hard to get invested in this world, even as a clean slate character, because you're actually controlling a ship with 3 people inside of it. So I don't even feel attached to this world or these characters either. I'm just piloting a ship with people inside of it. The combat is so repetitive and mundane from the get-go that it's hard to even continue for a better story, let alone the mediocre one here. And I couldn't even break the 2-hour mark. That's why I didn't end up covering this one. I wanted to play it a little bit more for the First Impressions full-on video, but oh my god, it was just so boring. I couldn't do it. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. We will have some better games to talk about later in the month when we talk about our top 5 of the year, which is going to come out soon. How soon? Well, I still have to play some games a little bit more. And then, of course, we will have the top 5 worst games of 2020, which is going to be a hopefully entertaining list. I think a lot of you are going to know what's on it, and there's going to be some surprises on there as well. So, yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching. I'm out.